Our panel today, MSNBC contributor Perry Bacon is with thegrio.com. The Watch Jennifer Rubin writes the Right Turn blog, and Faiz Shakir, editor-in-chief of thinkprogress.org. Welcome, guys. How are you doing?
Be here.
So, Jennifer, there you heard it from Eric Cantor. It's every American's legal right, provided they're not doing anything improper, to stay in the race for president. But as a Republican, conservative writer, does this long, elongated primary hurt Romney, who seems to be most likely, for all intents and purposes, the eventual nominee?
Well, this is the system that they set up. National Journal has a couple good pieces out explaining that it's not the weakness of Romney or the relative strength of other candidates, but it's the way that the delegates have been set up. It's very backloaded. You have a lot of proportional delegates being awarded, so it's just going to take a while. Even if he was winning them all, he wouldn't have enough right now to end the race. So it's a slow, methodical process. Viewers saw earlier in the show, he's building delegates one after the other. So he's probably not going to do very well in Kansas, but he may pick up some votes there. He's not going to perhaps win in Alabama, but he'll pick up some more votes there. There are a whole bunch of island primaries that we're going to be seeing in the next week or so. Guam, Northern Marianas, Hawaii. And people are going to say, oh my gosh, that's kind of small beans. But those delegates add up. There are about 70 delegates in those island primaries. He's probably going to do very well because he's a big organization, can afford to send people there, can go up in the air with some ads. So I think it's a long process, but it's a steady process. And I would suspect that unless Newt Gingrich is able to win one of the races, either Mississippi or Alabama, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him probably.
Perry, you've traveled a lot throughout the South. You've covered politics for a long time. Mitt Romney, when he was probably putting together his idea and playbook at the beginning of all this, did not think he was going to have to seriously contest in Alabama and Mississippi. It can't be good for Mitt Romney to play down there. He said it's an away game. Is that how it's?
I think it's accurate. I mean, I was in Alabama with Huckabee in '08, and Huckabee beat McCain there. Same kind of dynamics. It's very hard to imagine a Mitt Romney, the kind of moderate in this race, is going to do well in Mississippi. So the establishment wants to push Santorum and Gingrich out of the race. The problem is the reason they're going to have an incentive to stay in is they're going to win primaries. It's hard to imagine Kansas, Alabama, Mississippi all coming up. Hard to imagine Romney winning any of those. And Santorum probably can't win the nomination, but as long as you're winning states, you have a reason to stay in if you want to.
If you look at the general demographics here, Mitt Romney doesn't do well with people who make less than $100,000, people who don't have a college education. He does well with people who make over $200,000. So he's losing the states that have a lower median income, and it suggests that he has an inability to connect with the broad base of American public. I think that if you're the presumptive GOP frontrunner at this stage, you should be winning red states. These are red states. He's the leading Republican. He should be winning the state, and it should be walking away.
Yeah, that's silly. He's going to win those in the fall with his hands tied behind his back, and he actually did win the under 30,000 vote, $30,000 median or household income in Ohio. So he is beginning to broaden this out.
I mean, part of this is just a media sensation because, as you say, is Barack Obama really going to win Alabama? That's true.
No, it's irrelevant.
But are Alabamians and Mississippians excited about Romney? I mean,
they're very excited about beating Barack Obama, and I think that a lot of this.
But not about Romney.
But it's more of a story in Ohio and Pennsylvania.
He should be able to make an affirmative case for why. I mean, Jennifer's excited about him, but quite frankly, a lot of the Republicans are not, and it's really a failure.
I want to talk about this and relate it to what Rick Santorum said about this becoming a two-person race and how much more he could excite the conservative base. Let's take a listen to that video.
And when it becomes a two-person race for the Republican nomination, the conservative will win that nomination. And when a conservative wins the nomination, we will defeat Barack Obama in the general election.
Before I throw it to you guys, Perry, real quick, I mean, how much does Gingrich hurt Santorum now?
He hurts him in terms of accumulating delegates. Santorum will get more delegates in Alabama, Mississippi if Gingrich. That said, we've already had a two-person race at times in Michigan, in Ohio. Gingrich was virtually not campaigning those states, and Santorum, when it gets down to it, can't seem to beat Romney when it counts, and it's hard to argue against that at this point. In Illinois and a few weeks, we'll have another one-on-one matchup, and I'm sure Santorum will say, I'm outspent, but you have to win the race at the end of the day.
The play for the Romney campaign, I think, is to try to help Gingrich, to see how much they can actually help. And I think for Gingrich, the question ultimately is, after these couple of states, do you think Romney or Santorum is the better conservative and better representative for your party? Because I think he'll have a decision to make. I think that if he's true to his principles, he would back Santorum.
And real quick.
Listen, I think Romney's going to put these wins together. Santorum has had a pitch that he was the blue-collar voter. He's going to get the Rust Belt. He keeps losing in the Rust Belt, so I don't see that he's going anywhere, frankly. It's a matter of time, and Romney will eventually wrap things up.
So we'll be right back to get more of this discussion, but let's bring back our panel now. Perry Bacon, Jennifer Rubin, and Faiz Shakir, and you just heard it there. It seemed to be, Jennifer, some optimism coming from the White House on these job numbers.
Well, listen, it's better to be creating 225,000 jobs a month than losing jobs, but the fact remains we have a very high aggregate number of unemployed and underemployed. We have a very large segment of the population that's been unemployed for a very long time. And in answer to your question, no, I don't think the president can win with 8.3% unemployment. The notion that they didn't understand how bad the economy was is belied by the facts and by the president's own words at the time, talking about the economy being the worst since the Great Depression, talking about all of the measures that they were going to take. And he was asked, what's going to be the test for your reelection? And he said, it's going to be jobs, it's going to be the economy. And he's going to have to live with this record. He can make whatever excuses he wants. But the record is pretty...
Faiz, you like the record here?
Yeah, of course. There's 2 straight years of job growth, private sector job growth. The actual bad news is that public sector declines have been in the range of 650,000 over the past 4 years, and so that's something I think we've got to look at, and I think that's why we need investments in teachers and cops and firefighters, money to state and local government so that they can continue to hire, and I think that's what the infrastructure and the jobs bill that President Obama has proposed. I feel like that's where the emphasis is going to be. If you want to make this number higher, we've got to start looking at hiring teachers, bringing those construction workers back on scale to build schools and bring on cops.
Sarah, you were with me on Capitol Hill, and the thing that was the fuel for the House GOP and for the Senate Republicans was these jobs reports, that it's not, unemployment is not going down enough, it's still around 9%. Seems to be their steady trajectory. How could the GOP pivot? What's the other message here on jobs?
In terms of the jobs message, I think the overall message is something like what Jennifer said, which is basically 8.3% is still pretty high unemployment, which is what Boehner's been saying too. That's the case Mitt Romney's got to make. It's hard to argue, though, when things are getting better, because Americans tend to evaluate the economy not necessarily on the pure rate, but the trend line, and the trend line is going up. But they have to make the case that the overall rate is still too high and is higher than when he started being president.
But you can't be seen as rooting against him.
All right, shameless plugs. Perry.
My University of Louisville Cardinals, my hometown, are playing in the Big East semifinal, so good luck tonight.
Oh, my, Mitch McConnell backs you on that. Jennifer Rubin.
Saturday night, Vienna, Virginia. The Madison High School band will be playing for their district-wide evaluation. They have an excellent oboe player.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I got to stick with this. So my alma mater, Harvard basketball, going...
all right.
Yeah,
Harvard reference. I've made it a policy never to reference Harvard on this show, but I will give you credit. Tommy Amaker has revived the program. Congratulations. That other school across the river in Boston, congratulations to you guys. No Boston College, though.